I never thought I'd say this, but the day I moved into this nursing home was the day I lost control of my life. These were the words of 78-year-old Margaret, a former school principal who spent her entire life making her own decisions. Now, she needs permission to have a cup of coffee after 8 p.m. What's happening behind the closed doors of America's nursing homes is something families desperately need to hear. Before it's too late. The truth might be uncomfortable, but it could save you or someone you love from making a decision they'll regret for the rest of their life. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on nursing home life from the perspective of residents themselves, not the glossy brochures or carefully managed family tours. You'll hear 6 brutally honest truths from those who've lived this reality, insights that could radically change how you plan for your own future or that of your aging loved ones. Whether you're approaching retirement or helping family members make these critical decisions, what you learn in the next few minutes could be the difference between dignity and despair in life's final chapters. Truth 1. I lost my identity overnight when Richard, a 72-year-old retired engineer, moved into Sunnyvale Care Center. He brought his favorite books, family photos, and his prized chess set. What he didn't realize was how much of himself he'd leave at the door. The first thing they did was put a bracelet on my wrist with my medical conditions listed. Not my name, my illnesses. By lunchtime, I wasn't Richard anymore. I was the diabetic in room 237. This isn't isolated. A comprehensive study from the Journal of Aging Studies found that 76% of nursing home residents report a significant loss of personal identity within just 3 months of admission. The institutional routine, wake-ups at predetermined times, meals on a rigid schedule, medications dictating your day, gradually erodes the sense of self. Dr. Elizabeth Morton, a gerontologist who's studied nursing home environments for over 2 decades, explains, when everyday choices, what to eat, when to bathe, even when to use the restroom, are made by others, the psychological impact is profound. We see accelerated cognitive decline in otherwise healthy individuals simply because agency has been removed from their lives. Richard's advice? If you're considering a nursing home, ask not just about their medical care, but how they preserve residents' identities. Can you eat when you want? Keep your own schedule? Because once you give those things up, you're not just in a nursing home, you're becoming a product of it. What I'm about to tell you next shocked even me, and I've been researching this topic for months. Truth 2. The loneliness is worse than any physical pain. Eleanor, 84, spent a lifetime surrounded by family, friends, and the community she built as a local librarian. Now, despite living with 60 other residents, she describes nursing home life as the loneliest I've ever been. My room is next to a woman I've never spoken to, though I've lived here for 3 years. We're all strangers sharing a hallway. My family visits on Sundays for an hour. The other 167 hours of my week are spent mostly alone. The statistics are heartbreaking. According to research published in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association, 60% of nursing home residents receive no visitors in a given month. More alarming, a University of California study found that the average nursing home resident spends just 2 hours and 20 minutes per day in social interaction, and most of that is during care procedures. Dr. James Hayward of the National Institute on Aging explains, social isolation in nursing homes creates a perfect storm for declining health. We see increased rates of depression, accelerated dementia progression, and even weakened immune function in residents who lack meaningful social connections. What makes this particularly devastating is that many residents, like Eleanor, moved to nursing homes assuming they would find community. They told me I'd never be alone here, she says, wiping away tears. But there's a difference between having people around and having connection. Here, I'm surrounded, yet completely isolated. The next truth is something nursing homes will never tell you during their guided tours. Truth 3. My dignity is optional. Thomas, a 77-year-old former judge, speaks with a voice that once commanded courtrooms. I spent my career protecting people's rights. Now I have to fight for the right to take a shower when I feel unclean. The loss of dignity in nursing homes isn't just an emotional concern. It has measurable health impacts. Research from Johns Hopkins Medicine found that nursing home residents who reported regular dignity violations showed a 30% faster decline in overall health compared to those whose dignity was preserved. The worst moment, Thomas continues, was when I needed help getting to the bathroom. I pressed the call button. No response for 45 minutes. When you're sitting in soiled clothes waiting for help that doesn't come, you realize how far you've fallen. According to the National Center for Elder Abuse, over 30% of nursing homes have been cited for violations that caused actual harm to residents. But the more common indignities are subtler. Staff entering rooms without knocking, discussing residents' conditions within earshot of others, or rushing through intimate care procedures. Dr. Sarah Jenkins, who specializes in elder care ethics, explains, many facilities are understaffed, with each nursing assistant responsible for 10 to 15 residents. When someone has just minutes to help you dress, bathe, and eat, dignity becomes a luxury, one that's often sacrificed for efficiency. You won't believe what the next truth reveals about nursing home finances. Truth 4. My life savings disappeared in months. Catherine, a 75-year-old former accountant, did everything right, saved diligently, invested wisely, planned for retirement. Within 11 months of nursing home admission, she was nearly destitute. I had $428,000 when I arrived. My entire life's work. Now I have less than $2,000 to my name. Medicare covered almost nothing, and the nursing home costs $9,300 per month. My children will inherit nothing but my photo albums. The financial reality of nursing homes is staggering. According to Genworth's Cost of Care Survey, the average private room in a nursing home costs $105,850 per year, with costs in some states exceeding $150,000. Most shocking to many families, Medicare typically covers none of this. Medicare only pays for skilled nursing care following a hospital stay, and even then, only for up to 100 days. Financial advisor Robert Thompson, who specializes in elder care planning, explains, the typical nursing home resident exhausts their personal resources within 13 months. After that, they must qualify for Medicaid, which means having less than $2,000 in assets. It's essentially forced impoverishment. What makes this particularly devastating is that many residents, like Catherine, never expected to need nursing home care. I plan to age in my home, she says. One fall, one broken hip, and suddenly I'm here, watching my financial legacy evaporate month by month. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal next is something nursing home administrators don't want you to know. Truth 5. The care looks different. When family isn't around, James, an 81-year-old with Parkinson's disease, noticed a pattern. When my daughter visits, the staff is attentive, my room is clean, and everyone knows my name. The minute she leaves, everything changes. This phenomenon, dubbed visit-dependent care by researchers, is well documented but rarely discussed openly. A study in the journal The Gerontologist found that residents with regular visitors received an average of 28% more direct care time than those without visitors. You learn to time your requests, James explains. If you need something important, wait until a family member is present. Otherwise, you might be waiting hours, sometimes days. Dr. Miguel Sanchez, who studies nursing home quality measures, explains the troubling dynamics. Staff naturally respond to accountability. When family members are present and observant, care improves. When no one's watching, understaffed facilities must triage care, and residents without advocates often receive the minimum. Even more concerning, a government study found that 95% of nursing home residents have experienced or witnessed some form of neglect. Yet most never report it, fearing retaliation or believing nothing will change. Mary, a certified nursing assistant with 12 years of experience, offers an insider perspective. Most of us truly care about our residents, but when you're responsible for 15 people and only enough time to properly care for 8, someone inevitably receives less attention. That someone is usually the resident without family checking in. The final truth might be the hardest to hear, but it's the most important one I'll share today. Truth 6. Once you're here, it's nearly impossible to leave. Edward, a 68-year-old former high school teacher, entered his nursing home for short-term rehabilitation after a stroke. That was 4 years ago. I improved enough to go home after 3 months, he says. But by then, my house had been sold to pay for care, and my family had been told I'd need permanent supervision. Now I'm trapped in institutional care I don't need, but have nowhere else to go. This pattern, temporary stays becoming permanent, is disturbingly common. Research published in The Gerontologist found that 40% of seniors who enter nursing homes for short-term rehabilitation never return to independent living, even when their medical condition would permit it. Dr. Karen Whitfield, a gerontologist specializing in care transitions, explains, "We see a phenomenon called functional decline by design. The institutional environment, with its emphasis on efficiency over independence, can actually reduce capabilities. When someone else dresses you, feeds you, and manages your medication for weeks, those self-care skills atrophy rapidly. Even more troubling are the administrative hurdles. Once a person has transitioned to Medicaid funding, leaving the nursing home becomes extraordinarily difficult. The system is designed to keep people in institutional settings," Dr. Whitfield continues. "Home-based services that would allow someone to live independently cost Medicaid a fraction of nursing home care, yet the bureaucratic pathway to accessing those alternatives is prohibitively complex." Edward's advice is stark. Fight like hell to avoid coming here in the first place, because once you're in, the system assumes that's where you belong. Have you ever wondered why nursing home brochures show smiling seniors engaged in activities, while the reality inside many facilities looks dramatically different? The disconnect between marketing and reality is just one of many uncomfortable truths about institutional care. Remember Margaret from the beginning of our story? After 6 months in the nursing home, her daughter noticed she'd stopped asking about her friends, her former hobbies, even her grandchildren. When asked why, Margaret's response was heartbreaking. "What's the point of remembering a life I can no longer live? Consider this. If you knew you had 5 to 10 years of life remaining, would you choose to spend them in an environment where your schedule, diet, social interactions, and even bathroom visits were controlled by others?" For most of us, the answer is an immediate no. Yet this is precisely what many families choose when making decisions about elder care. The stories I've shared today aren't isolated incidents. They represent systemic issues affecting thousands of nursing home residents across the country. But there's hope. Keep watching, because after sharing these 6 hard truths, I'll reveal 3 alternative approaches that are revolutionizing elder care without the pitfalls of traditional nursing homes. You won't believe what innovative aging-in-place programs are making possible for seniors who were once told institutional care was their only option. Make sure you stay until the end, where I'll share specific questions to ask any nursing home you're considering. Questions that cut through the marketing language and reveal what life will really be like for you or your loved one. We've explored 6 painful truths about nursing: home life, identity loss, profound loneliness, dignity violations, financial devastation, inconsistent care, and the difficulty of leaving once admitted. These realities aren't meant to frighten but to empower, because informed decisions are the only kind worth making when it comes to life's final chapters. The good news is that the landscape of elder care is changing. Innovative models like the Greenhouse Project are creating small, home-like environments where residents maintain autonomy while receiving necessary care. Technology is enabling aging in place with remote monitoring and telemedicine. And community-based programs like PACE, Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, are proving that comprehensive care doesn't require institutional living. Perhaps the most powerful lesson from those who regret their nursing home decisions isn't about the facilities themselves. It's about planning early enough to have real choices. The time to explore alternatives, prepare financially, and document preferences isn't when crisis strikes, but years before, when options remain open. As 84-year-old Eleanor told me, with wisdom earned through difficult experience, don't wait for others to decide what your final years will look like. Claim them fiercely as your own, while you still can. What choices will you make today that your future self will thank you for? The conversation about aging with dignity doesn't begin at retirement. It begins right now with you.